Joining me now from Indianapolis to discuss Russia's Victory Day and other matters is a global affairs analyst, Kunle Falowo. Good to have you join us. Now, compared to previous celebrations in Russia, this year's parade was particularly scaled back. What's your thought on that?
Well, it has to definitely be scaled back. First of all, it has to do with security concerns. Not too long ago, we had an alleged drone attacks on the Kremlin. It's two drones that flew into the Kremlin, and Russia is allegedly saying that Washington should be blamed for that attempt, and they're also tagging this act to be an alleged or assassination or attempted assassination uh, 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 to assassinate Vladimir Putin, which is a further escalation of the ongoing war against Ukraine from the Russian side. Again, there seems to be a lot of concerns everywhere. The war isn't the way that they thought it would be, and it's been dragging. It's a year and 3 months already, and people are constantly dying, and it's so unfortunate because this is a dysfunctional war orchestrated by Vladimir Putin himself.
Mm. But does that also show the extent of Russia's military involvement in this particular in the war? Because before now we've seen more display of weaponry and tanks and all, but just lesser and lesser in the last 2 years. Does that show that look is either resource this is costing Russia more resources than expected, or that is its military is more involved in the war than thought?
Well, when you look at the war, there's no way it wouldn't affect the armor and the storage, the weaponry of Russia as a whole. They're using a lot of mercenaries from the outside. That tells you that uh, it was the expectation of the war wasn't what they thought it would be, because they had felt like going into the war, it would be a walk in the park, like I always say. And it wasn't like that. So they've exhausted so many of the mercenaries that they have in their arsenal and artilleries and in their storage, and and that goes along with to tell you that the war isn't going the way that Vladimir Putin had planned it to be. It's really unfortunate because he's dog-headed to seeing a conclusion to this war. He's the kind of man that doesn't take no for an answer, and then it's still ongoing. But again, it shows that uh, the crippling effect of the Russian Ukrainian war is really taking serious tolls on the emotional psyche of the people of Russia, and also it's taking a very huge dip into the storage of ammunitions for the Russian army.
Mm. And when you listen to President Putin's speech during the Victory Day, very short, about 10 minutes, but there were a lot of expected rhetoric in that speech. But one of the things he said was that Russia wanted a peaceful future. He also blamed the West for sowing seeds of hatred and what he called Russophobia. Do you think, and this is just generally now speaking, do you think that this war perhaps has had more impact than President Putin would like to admit?
Well, definitely, you would see that the entire scenario wasn't very great. This is a very big occasion that's been celebrated in Russia, uh, going back to a few couple of years where they had this celebration. They had times where they honor the people that have lost their life, the military people that have lost their life during the war, the Second World War. They used to have a march for them where they display pictures of the deceased. But unfortunately, because of the state of affairs in Russia, you would see that that particular part of the ceremony was cancelled, and they were employing people to do that online. And also, it kind of demonstrates that a lot of people aren't really happy about what's going on. But the problem is, they're really afraid to talk because Russia as a country has gagged free speech, and you're not allowed to express yourself any way, shape, or form unless you risk the chance of going to jail. So by and large, you're saying that it's not going very well, and unless and until there seems to be some form of resolution to this crisis, it's really going bad for the Russian side.
Watching that war, and we're seeing how things play out. Thank you so much for talking to us. Global Affairs Analyst Kunle Falowo.
My pleasure.